Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. I hope everybody is well. We're currently bang in the middle of game week 16. Only a couple of games have been played. We've just finished off the Boxing Day fixtures. Got a tiny red arrow there, unfortunately. Ended the game week on 48 points. That was with a minus, well actually 52 points with a -4, so 48 points. And now we're already looking ahead to game week 17. What kind of team we're going to be selecting and just general thoughts about the game week. If you're new around here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Getting really close to that 200 mark now. Pushing for it towards New Year's. I think it'll be just off, but if you can help me out, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button obviously if you do enjoy the video, and let's get straight into this one. So as I said, we're bang in the middle of game week 16, so we don't actually know the game week average or the game week points. As I said, last week I got 52 points -4 in game week 15, where the average was about 41, and that did see me take a tiny red arrow. With the points that I've already collated this week, it's only a few points, mind. I did take a -4 into this week, actually bringing in Marcus Rashford and Jamie Vardy for De Bruyne and Calvert-Lewin. Now that Calvert-Lewin and De Bruyne aren't actually playing, it's not been too bad of a move, although Jamie Vardy has only got 1 point. We see myself on an overall point of 898 and the overall rank of 450k. Hopefully after my captain, after the other players play, I can push up and get a nice little green arrow. Also, it's the FPL Cup qualification this week, so I'm really hoping I get into a top 4 spot so I can actually qualify. I didn't end up qualifying last year because I just completely forgot that it was a thing, made some silly moves going into the game week and did really badly. But yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at how the team is lining up for this game week. So this is the defense. We're going with the 3-back, as I kind of really like to do this year. I think the 3-back is the main formation that I will be going for the rest of the year. I hardly see myself putting out 4 defenders, especially when I'm going for the cheap defenders. As you can see, we've got Martinez in net. Now Martinez for me is just a long-term keeper, going to play him through the good and through the bad. Some people go in rotating keepers. I don't know, because in certain games, say like the Wolves game with Martinez, you probably may not have played him for that game and he gets 11 points and all of a sudden you're in a bit of a negative. I have rotated keepers before and it has worked, so I think there's good arguments for both sides. But Martinez is great and I hold so much value in him that I'm going to keep him through the bad and through the good, and this is probably a bad fixture, but I don't really mind if Manchester United score, and you'll see that when it comes to my midfield. Then we've got Soufal, who I've just looked at the lineups for today's game, and Soufal has actually been benched. I don't mind that though. I do have a player on the bench who can come on for him. I was kind of expecting it as well, and it does mean that he will most likely start against Everton. He is the first kind of choice favoured right back. I think he's just been given a rest, just had a child, so you know it's very understandable that he is being given a rest in this game. But Everton, he'll be back, and hopefully, I don't know, I think Everton could have definitely scored, but they've also been very weak defensively, so hopefully Soufal can pick up an assist, and when we've seen him do so, he's got bonus points as well. When we have Eric Dyer against Leeds, I do actually have Patrick Bamford up front as well, as we will come to. So it's a tough one, because I do think Leeds will score in this game, but I also think that Dyer has a better chance of keeping a clean sheet than Dallas does, and as you can see, Dallas is on my bench, but then Dallas probably has more of a potential to get an attack in return over Dyer, so it's a tough selection. I think I will end up going with Dyer, but it's a tough one. And then we've got Charlie Taylor, my transfer for this week, bringing him in for Nathaniel Klein. And Nathaniel Klein, Crystal Palace do play against Sheffield United, and I really do want a kind of Crystal Palace defender in for that game because Sheffield United looks so good in terms of keeping clean sheets against them. However, Roy Hodgson has been kind of rotating Joel Ward and Klein around quite a lot, and although after the result they just had 1-1 against Leicester, you know, after a decent result, Hodgson likes to keep the exact same team. It's just too much. I do think he'll play, but it's just too much of a risk. Whereas Charlie Taylor literally played 90 minutes in every game. From I can't remember when he's not been playing 90 minutes in every game, to be honest, for Burnley. So yeah, I think Charlie Taylor, one of the most nailed on players in football in FPL this year. And Fulham at home is also a very good fixture as well. So hopefully he can keep his clean sheet there. Now we move on to the midfield. The midfield 5, obviously, we've dropped Kevin De Bruyne down to Rashford, but it's not actually too bad. Hopefully Rashford can do something and actually has more points than the likes of, you know, Sterling, the likes of De Bruyne. He's on the same points as Mane, so I think he looks very good this season and hasn't actually played as many games as those guys. Then we have Heung-min Son as well against Leeds at home. Very tempted to put the captaincy on. I'm not quite kind of decided what I'm going to do yet with the captaincy. You can see I've got the vice captain on Salah right there. I've not actually seen how he's done in the Newcastle game yet, so hopefully he bags a couple of goals there. But against Southampton away, it's not too bad of a fixture. If that was at home, I definitely would be putting it on Salah. Salah at Anfield, no-brainer captaincy for me, although we saw him blanking at West Brom. It's just one of those. It's going to happen now and again, but most of the time he will be banging goals in. I think Salah looks like a great option this year, and another great option, Bruno Fernandes. And as I said, I wouldn't be too disappointed if Manchester United went and scored 4 or 5 in that game, because I've got Rashford and Fernandes. So if they can get on the scoreline, I really don't mind Martinez conceding. The ideal situation will probably be, a Bruno Fernandes penalty that gets saved and then he puts it in the back of the net. That would be absolutely wonderful. But it's a lot to ask for. But at the end of the day, Rashford scoring is probably the biggest one I want, because he's kind of the least owned out of those 3 players. Martinez and Fernandes are very highly owned players, and then we have Grealish as well. So I've got a lot of players this week who are playing against each other, but I don't mind it too much, because when they're attacking assets mainly, that being said, then the teams can easily score against each other. Aston Villa have been looking very, very good of late. They scored against Chelsea. Grealish was heavily involved, not picked up an attacking returns in the past 2 game weeks, unfortunately, but he looks very, very dangerous, and the attacking returns are coming. He will score again, he will assist again. That's it's not guaranteed, but it's very, very likely to happen. So I'm very confident with Jack Grealish going forward. And as we've seen so far this season, Manchester United have a record of kind of conceding 1 or 2 goals first. So if Grealish can get on the kind of score sheet in those 1 or 2 goals, that would be absolutely wonderful. And then in the attack, as I've mentioned, we've got Patrick Bamford leading the line against Spurs. There was some speculation that he wasn't going to start against West Brom. However, he's put all that to bed. He's starting up against West Brom. Hopefully he can do something. I'll be watching that game intently, as I've got Dallas and Bamford. But yeah, Bamford against Spurs. Obviously I do have Dyer, but I think Leeds in every game do look like they can do something. Bamford also took the penalty in the last game. It's seemingly now, if he wins the penalty, he's probably going to take it, or maybe he'll just become their penalty taker. So I think Bamford is a very, very good option, and not one I'm particularly looking to bench, even in the hard fixtures, and even when I've got conflicting players, he can always pop up and do something. The main man I want to talk about is Jamie Vardy. Newcastle away, I've currently got the captaincy on him because his away record this season is unbelievable. Just his record in general this season is unbelievable, and he's hauling a lot. When he does get points, he does haul them points in. And against Newcastle away, Newcastle looked very, very poor defensively, it could be a real kind of moment where I can take advantage of owning Jamie Vardy, especially when no one or hardly anyone in my other mini leagues really does own him. Put the captaincy on him, and I really think he can do very well this week against Newcastle, as I said, who are very poor defensively. Now, if you take a quick look at the bench, as I said, Dallas is in there. Some potential reasons that I could play him. Most likely he'd be on the bench. Brewster probably coming in with the likely 1-pointer that he does every single week, and then done. A transfer needing to be happened. Someone like Amity coming in, starting to start for Leicester. I'd like to bring Amity in at some point, but obviously it's not an urgent transfer that needs to be made right now. And I do also have Nyland there for Aston Villa. The most annoying thing about having Nyland is that he takes up an Aston Villa spot, and I've got 2 Aston Villa players, Martinez and Grealish, actually in my team. So if I want to get a third, like a target or something, really to double down on that Aston Villa defence, I'm not unable to do so because I've got Nyland. But yeah, a transfer for the future. I hope you have enjoyed this quick team selection video ahead of Game Week 17. Let me know down in the description the team, any transfers you're thinking of, any kind of thoughts you have on your team, whether you should play this player or this player, what captaincy you're going with. And finally, if you do like the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.